Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolits. Hoping that you will not skip my ads. It's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
Zane Martel had kept the secret of the mysterious vertical eye between his brows from everyone. Not even Bo Thompson, his closest confidant, knew about it. He hid it with a scarf, but it was a ticking time bomb waiting to be discovered. 3 days ago, Zane Martel had a plan to remove this threat. He left the Dark Wolf Hall and headed for Vital Artifact Store in Wolf City. Wolf City was alive with the sound of experts forging weapons. Vital Artifact Store, one of the best, stood on the busiest street.
Hi, sir. Your custom-made forehead guard is ready. I'll get it for you right away.
Okay, thank you.
The assistant returned with a tray. On it lay a dark silver protective forehead piece, neither iron nor wood. Zane Martel had requested the logo of the Divine Bow to be carved in the middle. A smile curled on his lips as he inspected it.
This will cost you a total of 700,000 crystals.
Okay.
He handed over a storage ring with the crystals, his heart aching at the expense. The black cellar stone, capable of isolating spiritual probes, made it worthwhile. He couldn't risk anyone discovering his secret.
I'd like to use a genuine energy artifact to exchange for some crystals.
The shop assistant's eyes lit up, and he eagerly led Zane Martel to a private room. An hour later, Zane Martel sold most of the materials and genuine energy artifacts from the Thousand Insect sect for over 10 million crystals. Zane Martel then bought herbs for detoxification, fulfilling a promise to his friend, Eric Helm. He headed back to the Dark Wolf Hall.
Eric Helm, I brought the medicinal herbs back for you.
The room was empty, but a voice-transmitting talisman floated in the air. Zane Martel's frown deepened with unease.
Larry Shaw, you've injured my men. Today, I'm going to kill yours in return. If you want to save him, come to the back of the mountain if you dare.
A surge of killing intent rose from Zane Martel. He clenched his teeth, muttering under his breath.
Who on earth took Eric Helm away?
The challenge was clear, the stakes high. Zane Martel had no choice but to confront this new threat. His next move could change everything. Zane Martel clenched his fists, put down the medicinal herbs, and headed to the back mountain of the Dark Wolf Hall. The back mountain of the Dark Wolf Hall, known as Beast Returning Mountain, was where they raised and hunted wild demonic beasts. The Demon Clan members of the Dark Wolf Hall saw themselves as superior to these beasts and hunted them relentlessly. The mountain was vast with towering trees that covered the sky. At the entrance, Zane Martel was met by two fierce men, clearly awaiting his arrival.
Stop.
They were both at the peak of the first stage of the martial spirit realm. Their auras strong and intimidating. Zane Martel knew they were no ordinary practitioners.
Are you the people that took Eric Helm away?
If you don't want your friend to be in danger, you better do what we say.
One of the men stepped forward, reaching for Zane Martel's storage ring.
Give me the storage ring.
Get lost.
Zane Martel's fist landed on the guard's chest, sending him flying into a stone wall, blood splattering from his mouth.
You dare to attack? I guess you don't care about your friend's life. Go to hell, Soul Meteor Fist.
The guard's fist glowed brightly, swirling with energy.
Silver body open.
A terrifying wave of air erupted from Zane Martel, blowing the man sideways. Zane Martel's next punch to the man's belly knocked him out cold.
How dare you attack me? At least consider your own strength first.
Zane Martel's aura grew larger and larger. He passed through the entrance, heading deeper into the mountain. Not long after, shadows flashed around the tree trunks. Over 20 men had gathered, ready for an ambush.
Aaron, if I find out you're behind this, I'll kill you.
Suddenly, a sharp sword energy shot towards Zane Martel's head, followed by a blazing flame lion roaring as it charged. Over 20 attackers emerged, launching an all-out assault.
Die!
The endless attacks made Zane Martel feel a chill down his spine.
Black Abyss sword.
With a flash, like a biscuit in his hand, he counterattacked, sending streaks of sword energy that destroyed many attacks, but some still got through. Zane Martel spun around deflecting attacks, but there were too many. He couldn't break through them all.
Uh-huh. Is this your best, Larry Shaw? A mere 20 men are enough to corner you.
A bald man dressed in gold emerged from the crowd. his gaze venomous.
Are you the one who took Eric Helm away?
You don't need to know. Just kill him. Yes, sir.
The challenge was clear, the stakes high. Zane Martell had no choice but to confront this new threat. His next move could change everything.
Don't let him breathe. Keep the pressure on.
He can't take us all on. We've got him cornered.
More than 20 cultivators, each at the peak of the first stage of the advanced level, swarmed around him like angry wasps. Every time Zane attempted to strike down one foe and create an opening, the others closed in, their coordinated attacks leaving him no room to maneuver.
Damn it all. These guys are like a hydra. Cut off one head and two more take its place. I can't keep this up forever. That's it! You asked for this! If this is how you want to play, don't blame me for what happens next.
With a determined grimace, he plunged the Black Abyss sword into the earth beneath his feet. Suddenly, a blinding ray of light erupted from his body, spreading outward in all directions like a shockwave.
Sword formation, open.
The air seemed to shimmer and distort as Zane's carefully cultivated sword energy, honed over countless years, began to take shape. Within a 100-meter radius, hundreds of spectral sabers and swords materialized, their ethereal blades humming with deadly intent.
What in the world is that? We need to take him down now before he finishes whatever he's doing.
But even as the words left the attacker's mouth, Zane's form blurred with incredible speed. In the blink of an eye, he appeared at a spot 100 meters away, right where one of the spectral blades hovered. Then he vanished again, reappearing at another point in the formation. With each flash of movement, a strand of golden and silver sword energy materialized between the 2 points. Slicing through the air with lethal precision, Zane's speed continued to mount, his movements becoming a blur even to trained eyes. He had tapped into the power of wind at its major completion, allowing him to move with breathtaking velocity. The strands of sword energy multiplied, growing sharper and more ferocious with each passing second. In mere moments, the entire 100-meter radius had transformed into a lethal web of sword energy. The attackers found themselves trapped in this deadly maze, their screams of pain and terror filling the air as the razor-sharp threads sliced through their defenses.
Someone help us.
What is this? Why can't we cut through it?
In less than 10 seconds, the tables had turned completely. The very men who were pursuing Zane now lay motionless on the ground, their lives snuffed out by the overwhelming power of the Tianyuan sword formation. Blood flowed like a river, staining the earth crimson.
This is impossible. How could this have happened?
The bald man stared at the scene before him with wide, disbelieving eyes. His shock was palpable, his confident demeanor shattered by the display of Zane's true power. The Tianyuan sword formation was an earth-level martial art that Mr. Black had imparted to him and could be considered Zane's strongest martial arts skill. Suddenly, fist-sized orbs of energy containing warrior soul began to emerge from the fallen bodies. These ethereal essences attempted to flee, seeking escape from the carnage.
Oh, you want to run now? I don't think so. Time to face oblivion.
Streaks of sword energy flew towards the weakened souls, destroying them one by one with ruthless efficiency.
Stop this madness. You're making a grave mistake.
Damon's face contorted with anxiety. He knew that the destruction of the soul meant permanent death, with no hope of resurrection. These men were all he had, and now they were being obliterated before his eyes. Zane showed no sign of stopping. If anything, his actions grew swifter and more violent. In a matter of moments, most of the spirits had been reduced to nothing.
I said stop! Are you deaf?
Suddenly, Damon's body began to glow with an intense golden light. His form shifted and expanded, growing to monstrous proportions. Where once stood a man, now coiled a massive golden-scaled python, dozens of meters long and 2 meters thick. The python's presence was overwhelming, its aura clearly that of a cultivator at the peak of the second stage of the advanced level. But what truly caught Zane's attention were the 2 horns protruding from its head.
Wait a second. Is that a flood dragon?
Ancient legends spoke of the progression, A snake cultivates for 100 years to become a python for 100 years to become a boa constrictor, a boa for 100 years to become a flood dragon, and a flood dragon for 100 years to become a true dragon. While the time frames might be exaggerated, the flood dragon was indeed considered a lesser relation to dragons, possessing a trace of their ancient bloodline.
Larry Shaw, you bastard! You slaughtered my subordinates! Now it's your turn to die.
As Damon spoke, his massive jaws opened wide, spewing forth a torrent of purple liquid. The viscous substance spread through the air, sizzling ominously as it went.
That seems like poison.
Zane barely managed to evade the deadly spray, but Damon's assault didn't end there. With lightning speed, the flood dragon's powerful tail lashed out, leaving after images in its wake. The strike connected with brutal force, sending Zane flying through the air. He crashed to the ground, a sharp pain in his chest indicating broken ribs.
Ugh. This monster. He's on a whole different level.
Trying to run, huh? Not a chance? Time to meet your maker. 1,000 golden snakes!
At Damon's command, the golden scales on his head began to loosen and fall away. In their place, thousands of small golden snakes emerged, their tiny bodies writhing and squirming as they made their way towards Zane. The miniature serpents swarmed around Zane, their fangs bared and ready to strike. Despite their size, there was an unmistakable aura of danger emanating from them.
You think a bunch of tiny snakes are gonna take me down?
Zane swung his sword at the approaching snakes, but to his shock, the blade merely bounced off their scales with a metallic clang, sending sparks flying.
Out of ideas already? My Mizora spiritual body is the hardest in the world, and these scales, they're the toughest you'll ever see. Your puny techniques are no match for me.
Damon's massive tail became a blur of motion, its tough scales glinting in the light. Like a giant deadly awl, it descended from above, aiming straight for the top of Zane's head. Zane found himself under assault from all sides. He had to guard against the swarm of small golden snakes ready to strike at any moment, while simultaneously fending off Damon's relentless attacks. It was all he could do to stand his ground and resist.
Thunderbolt Fist.
With a burst of energy, Zane unleashed the Thunderbolt Fist technique, managing to push back a large number of the attacking snakes. Taking advantage of the brief opening, he quickly put some distance between himself and his opponents.
Ha! Not so tough now, are you? Where's all that brilliance you showed when you beat my subordinate Black Viper?
I'll make you a deal. Hand over Eric now, and I'll let you walk away from this.
I'm sorry, what? Did I hear that right? You let me walk away? Between I won't kill you and you won't kill me. Which do you think is more likely? Only trash would spout such nonsense. If you want to kill me, then I'll just have to kill you.
With a furious roar, Damon's scales began to burn with a dazzling golden flame. The sheer heat of it easily melted the soil beneath his massive form. This was the combined might of the power of nature and the power of fire, the latter at the minor completion level. He charged forward, a living inferno, as the swarm of small snakes rushed alongside him. The two-pronged attack seemed unstoppable.
You think you're the only one with strength in numbers? Think again.
What are you talking about?
With a wave of his hand, Zane released a dense cluster of verdant frog insects from his storage ring. The bugs took to the air, quickly forming a massive, living cloud that rivaled the swarm of golden snakes in number.
Bugs? You dare to pit lowly insects against my Mizora? You insult me!
In Damon's mind, the little golden snakes he'd cultivated were invincible, their scales impenetrable even to his sword. The idea that mere insects could pose a threat seemed laughable to him. But Zane's swarm wasn't just a few bugs. It was 30,000 strong, and they descended upon the golden snakes like a ravenous plague. The entire mountain forest seemed to come alive with the sound of buzzing wings and chittering mandibles. To Damon's horror, his supposedly invincible snakes began to emit miserable shrieks. The verdant frog's insects pried up their fingernail-sized scales and tore into the flesh beneath. In less than 2 minutes, a large portion of the golden snakes had been reduced to nothing more than insect food.
Impossible. This can't be happening. This is insane. What kind of insects are these? How'd you get this much power?
Panic etched itself across Damon's face as he realized the dire situation he was in. His voice, once commanding, now quivered with fear.
You're dead meat. Call off these bugs right now.
Desperation fueled Damon's charge, the flames enveloping his body growing brighter and more intense with each step. But Zane stood unmoved, his power building to match his opponent's fury. Suddenly, Zane's body emitted a brilliant ray of light, illuminating everything in a 100-meter radius. The air crackled with potential energy as he prepared his most devastating technique.
Tian Yuan's sword formation.
The very air around Zane shimmered and distorted as countless spectral swords formed, their edges glinting with deadly promise. The oppressive aura emanating from the formation was enough to make even the bravest warrior quake.
Oh crap! I can't let him trap me in that sword thing!
Realization dawned too late on Damon's face as he tried to retreat, but the formation's reach was far greater than he anticipated. Zane moved with blinding speed, each motion pulling forth wisps of sword energy that danced through the air like deadly silver threads. At first, they seemed to do little more than create sparks as they struck Damon's body. But as the assault continued, the threads of sword energy grew sharper, more numerous. They began to slice through Damon's defenses, cutting into flesh and bone with merciless precision.
Ah! Stop, please!
Damon's earlier pride was gone, replaced by raw terror and desperation. But Zane's face remained a mask of cold determination. There would be no mercy for the one who harmed Eric. The relentless barrage of sword energy continued, turning Damon's massive form into a living pincushion. Finally, his grievously wounded body crashed to the ground, lying in a growing pool of his own blood. Zane ceased his attack and approached his fallen foe. His eyes, cold and filled with killing intent, looked down upon Damon like a sovereign passing judgment.
Wait, Larry, don't do this! It wasn't my idea, I swear. Aaron put me up to it. He's the one you want, not me. Please, just let me go.
Damon, now reverted to his human form, groveled pathetically at Zane's feet. But Zane's expression didn't change. He had only one concern.
Where's Eric?
He's safe, I promise. I've got him stashed in a cave about 10 miles from the back mountain. There's also someone to guard him.
Thanks for the info. Now, it's time to say goodbye.
No, wait, I told you everything. You can't just... I don't die.
With a single fluid motion, Zane swung the sword, cleanly severing Damon's head from his body. Perhaps due to his python nature, the head continued to twitch for a few moments before finally going still. He knelt beside the corpse, his hand outstretched. A strange, pulsing energy began to emanate from his palm.
Devour!
In an instant, all of Damon's remaining vital energy, cultivation, and even his blood essence were drawn out of his body and into Zane. As a member of the Mazora and the Dragon Clan, Damon's essence proved to be a potent tonic. His eyes lit up with undisguised joy, but it was quickly tempered by a hint of disappointment.
As expected, it's a pity that the ancient bloodline is too little to repair the form of the Elder Wyvern.
Suddenly, the sound of multiple footsteps broke the momentary calm. Zane tensed, ready for a new threat. In an instant, dozens of figures materialized out of thin air surrounding Zane. Each of them radiated the power of the second stage of the spirit level. The crowd parted, making way for two figures of obvious importance. One was Aaron, his face a mask of fury. The other was an old man in his 50s, his face covered with age spots, his back hunched, and his pupils strangely vertical.
Is this man related to Damon?
Master Gideon, that's him.
As Aaron pointed accusingly at Zane, both newcomers spotted the corpses on the ground. Their eyes widened in shock as they recognized Damon's decapitated body.
Larry, you actually killed the noble wolf prince.
Beside Aaron, the man identified as Gideon lowered his head, his body trembling with barely contained rage. When he looked up, his eyes were bloodshot, filled with murderous intent.
You killed my son. You will pay with your life.
As Gideon spoke, an overwhelming aura erupted from his body. The power of a 5th stage advanced level cultivator, nearly at the threshold of the expert level, crashed down upon Zane like a tidal wave.
5th stage of the advanced level? What great strength. I don't think I can defeat him. I'll have to deploy the divine bow.
As Zane contemplated his options, the divine bow mark on the back of his left hand began to glow faintly, ready to manifest at a moment's notice. The air crackled with tension as both sides prepared for battle. Just as the first move was about to be made, a voice cut through the standoff.
Master Gideon, do you dare to make a move?
Two figures appeared in a blur of motion, Katie and Klain. Without hesitation, Klain positioned himself between Zane and Gideon, acting as a human shield.
Stay out of this, Klain! How dare you try to stop me from avenging my son?
I'm not trying to. Larry killed His Highness. He deserves to die.
Zane's face filled with suspicion at Klain's words. He didn't believe for a second that Klain had appeared merely to bluster.
Then why did you stand in my way? Move!
Gideon released a wave of terrifying willpower, enveloping Zane's head and threatening to crush him under its weight. But Zane was far from helpless.
Get lost.
Zane unleashed his own willpower, weaker but still potent enough to repel Gideon's assault. The clash of energy sent ripples through the air.
This willpower.
A flicker of fear crossed Gideon's face, clearly taken aback by the strength of Zane's will. In this tense moment, Caddy moved to stand beside Zane. She gave him a reassuring nod before addressing Gideon.
The Elder Council has passed the motion. We must confer upon Larry Shaw the qualification to become a Wolf Prince. Master Gideon, you know that once he is appointed His Highness, none of you will be able to touch him.
His Highness, making a human into a Wolf Prince? This is something that has never happened in the Dark Wolf Hall. What kind of freak show is this? Larry just killed Damon, who was also a Wolf Prince, and now they're making his killer into one.
What did you say? Confer upon Larry Shaw the title of Wolf Prince. What wishful thinking. Get out of my way. I'm gonna end him.
Master Gideon's anger erupted like a volcano, his body trembling with rage. But to everyone's surprise, Klain simply smiled and stepped aside.
Yes, but if you kill him, you'll have to bear the punishment from the Elder.
At these words, Gideon visibly faltered, his murderous intent wavering in the face of potential consequences.
Are you trying to scare me off? How could an elder be so stupid? As to let a human be a wolf, that's impossible.
Despite his words, Master Gideon didn't immediately attack. The threat of the Elder's wrath was enough to give even him pause.
Okay, let's go to the Elders' meeting to reach a consensus.
After you.
As the tension slowly dissipated, Zane turned to Katie, his brow furrowed with concern.
Katie, what about Eric?
Don't worry, I've already sent someone to get him. He'll be fine.